Hello and welcome to the November edition of EdTech Monday Kenya. My name is Joy Doreen Bira. Our sign language interpreter is Rose Omolo, and our focus on the show this month is getting to the root to strengthen science, technology, engineering, mathematics, also known as STEM. According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, about 60% of Kenya's population is under the age of 25, making it one of the most promising potential workforces. Promotion of STEM education is a much-needed initiative to encourage well-rounded education essential for Kenyan students and address the imbalance in our education systems. Kenya, like most African countries, continue to face immense challenges in the field of STEM at all levels of education, primary, secondary, and tertiary in terms of performance, enrollment, and gender disparity. Research into the declining quality of STEM across Africa has blamed this on challenges such as poverty, inadequate funding, lack of interest from students, unqualified or untrained teachers, inadequate learning aids, among others. And the Mastercard Foundation's 2020 Secondary Education in Africa report argues that young people need foundational literacy and numeracy, 21st century skills, which underpin innovation and are an excellent vehicle for developing critical thinking and problem-solving abilities. So, how do we ensure more young people are able to access STEM training, and what role does technology play in making STEM learning more widely available? Well, our panelists are experienced in their respective capacities. Today, we have Lois Kinyanjui, who is the Executive Director, Young Scientists Kenya, an initiative that gives young people from across Kenya an opportunity to demonstrate innovation and showcase their scientific talents through a national science and technology competition. We also have Alex Magu, who is the Executive Director and founder at the STEM Impact Center Kenya, a non-profit organization established by STEM Impact Labs based in Kenya. And we also have Kiko Moore, who is the Chief Executive Officer, Angaza Elimu, an EdTech enterprise primed to transform education across Kenya and beyond by addressing the problem of inefficient classrooms and inadequate quality educational material. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to EdTech Monday Kenya. So I'm going to start with a question to all of us, which is getting to the root of it. What, in your view, are the reasons for minimal interest in STEM by our learners and future teachers in Kenya today? I'll start with you, Lois.
Okay, thank you very much, and for this opportunity to contribute to this discussion. So the biggest thing about STEM learning and why our students do not readily take it up is that, first of all, it is perceived as to be difficult. So biology, chemistry, physics, and mathematics in our schools, both primary and secondary, are perceived by the students to be some of the hardest in their syllabus. And another thing is that the way the teaching and learning happens does not necessarily do much to dispel that perception. So I think it will be good if our teachers were trained to teach STEM in a way that makes it simple and practical for our students.
All right, Alex?
Thank you, Doreen. For my end, I think the challenges that we're facing to the adoption of STEM come from, we lack STEM models. And if you look at in the areas that are excelling, like music, arts, law, and other areas, there are readily available models that the students are looking up to. But who do we have who's coming from the STEM fields? The biologists in the labs, the chemists, and the physicists. Are they coming out to model young Kenyans and the children to take up what they're going through? Secondly, it's an issue of capacity. And like Lois said, how are we engaging our learners? It goes beyond just teaching and learning, but making the learning exciting through project-based learning, so that we ensure that STEM is not theoretical, but more of a practical approach to learning.
From what I gather from Alex, the perception is that STEM subjects, in addition to being difficult, but are a little less exciting. Kiko, do you agree with that?
To some point, I would agree with that. And basically, it's in the terms of how do we distinguish between knowledge-based learning and skill-based learning, and especially us eliminating the bit of project-based learning and just teaching STEM subject for the content and theory that we give in the classroom is wrong, make the students lose interest. And the students also are not empowered or informed. If I'm gonna take STEM, what my next steps is. Remember that we all go to school that we can have great careers. So if there's no clear path that the student knows, if I'm gonna take and excel as STEM subject, then this is what my career and either this is what my paycheck would look like. So if we could have that well outlined and distinction to show that the students, yes, compared to other subjects, that STEM still pays. STEM is not complex, STEM is easy, and you can take it and have a great career in future. Will make more motivation and exciting for the students to take those courses in their classrooms.
I like that. Lois, STEM is no doubt critical to the future of work, but while some learning vocational institutions in Kenya are providing STEM education, they're viewed as institutions of least performing students. How do we grow the uptake and make more accessible STEM in our schools and tertiary institutions or institutions of higher learning?
Okay, thank you very much for that. So I think that perception about TVET being for those who have not performed well is a result of lack of information. So what we can do is just educate the public and let them know that actually TVET is not for those who have necessarily performed poorly, and also that there are levels of qualifications that you get out of TVET. So it differs. You can join TVET from primary school and then you get a vocational certificate, for instance. But when you join STEM after secondary school, you can actually get a diploma, which then opens up a space for even higher education at university level. So it's that lack of understanding of the levels, what it can lead you to. And, like Kiko has said, people don't understand very deeply what it means to take up a STEM career at TVET, what career opportunities are that come thereafter, and what entrepreneurship opportunities are available. So we need to provide that awareness so that we can dispel the misperceptions, but we also need to invest more in our TVET institutions so that they are able to deliver quality TVET education. And I would say also the same investment needs to be done at universities and other middle-level colleges.
Right. Well, Alex, Lois talks about creating awareness, but is the interest in STEM commensurate with the support to strengthen and increase the number of young people pursuing science, technology, engineering, mathematics as core subjects of interest?
Yes, I believe so. And if you tend to look what is happening through the government support and the local actors through the ecosystem, there's a lot of support into ensuring that we change the STEM culture, and it goes beyond just getting good grades in high school. So we need our children to be interested in these careers in STEM, and we are doing that to ensure that no child is left behind. And the programs that we're doing all lead to ensure that we ensure that the children are exposed to a lot of technology, a lot of to science and engineering learning, so that they're able to make wise decisions on how they're going to shape their careers and the degrees they pursue. Secondly, there's a lot of interest as we approach the fourth industrial revolution. And the fourth industrial revolution is not just going to affect one discipline. It will affect multiple disciplines, so no discipline will be immune. So it's the high time we adopted science, tech, and innovations.
All right, I like that. Kiko, when Alex says it's high time we adopt science, technology, and innovations as well, Angaza Elimu, as an AI or artificial intelligence powered platform, focuses on STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, the arts, mathematics, and entrepreneurship. So I'm wondering, what would be your observations as to what exactly learners' challenges are with STEM and what needs to be done differently?
Great question, Doreen. For me, the learners, typically I would say it doesn't come from the learner's side, but there's no clear structure or framework of telling students, this is the path that we want to pursue. So we take in STEM courses and we tell them of all these frontier technologies that they want to study. But do we have a stepwise process of the students of taking these courses? One, I think the process is pretty simple into 3 steps. We need to expose these students to these courses and tell them and to get them excited about these courses. So if a student is being taught about AI, how could we make and show them that AI makes sense and AI is the future of how the world is going to change, and everyone should pursue that path. And once you get their mind and their curiosity and you get them excited, then now you're gonna get to engage them to get to dive into learning these skills. And so a very clear, not very complex structure of learning or content, because remember here we're dealing with students who have not advanced. These are students in basic education. So how do we build up from scratch? And we've seen people who are even learning AI as early as age 9, and they've not learned at that level as similar to someone who is at the age of 30. And so if we're able to really get them engaged through either instructor-led or safe-based learning through a couple of resources. I know a lot of people have spent as resources in building this content. And once they get these skills, how could they transfer these skills to build even pretty simple projects that relate into the skills they learn? Because again, STEM, as we said, we're not looking to terms of them getting their knowledge. In terms of the skills that they learned, how could they translate them to building a project or actual things that we can see that work. And after that, once they build that prototypes of projects, then now they'll start thinking of what is being getting ready to work in a STEM field, and it's the time they'll be graduating, because these students will be in the work in like 4 years if they're in high school. So if we could advance these skills from just the engagement phase for them to clearly understand this is what the industry demands, and once you get to learn this content, then what future could you do? And they could start working into certain projects. And I think it's how at this point we need to pull the industry to be connected to the academic world, so that as they transition, they already know what the industry is demanding and what they need to do at those jobs that they want to qualify for. So if we're able to put that clear structure of just the 3 steps, then I think those challenges that we're seeing right now and the demotivation from students pursuing STEM will all be eradicated, and it's going to be a smooth path for the students in pursuing STEM courses.
Right. I like that you talk about structure, and I want to now bring this as well to Lois, because it's one thing to develop interest in STEM through exhibitions and science fairs, and another altogether when providing resources to progress interest built in to the tertiary level and into the workforce. So what do you think is needed to ensure that we prioritize STEM at all levels, given the support from the Education Ministry to the young scientists of Kenya?
Okay, thank you. So in terms of ensuring that interest is sustained, and I think the other panelists keep talking about how we need to make sure that students understand what is at the end of STEM studies, what careers are they likely to get into. And that really is the thing, because when you know what you're working towards, then you continue to be motivated to work towards it. So that link with industry, understanding what careers are there, bringing in private sector players so that they can also be involved in the teaching and learning, through mentorship, through provision of job shadowing opportunities, apprenticeships, internships, and that kind of opportunity for students, so that they can get a deeper feeling of what would it take, for example, to be an engineer, and what would my life be like as a career engineer, for instance.
So in this case, you think that maybe we need role models? They need to look up to people so they can see themselves being those people. Are we giving them these role models that you're talking about?
Yes, so you're correct. It's really about role modeling, because if you can see, say Bill Gates, and you can see what he has made out of his interest and pursuit of STEM, then you know exactly what is the best that you could achieve. And for us at Young Scientists Kenya, that is a key focus area for us. So when we go to talk to our students about the need for them to take an interest and to pursue and to excel in STEM, we bring with us mentors, and these mentors are usually either students at university levels to speak to our students at secondary school level, but also professionals in industry, young professionals, young doctors, young engineers, young techies, who then have gone through the journey of STEM learning, and they can share their experience, and they can also share their experience about their lives in their careers. And I think also the other thing that we need to do is we need to understand that our economy is not necessarily big enough to absorb everybody who graduates from a STEM course. Yeah. So as we teach STEM, we need to teach our students to have an entrepreneurial spirit, to be inventors, to be innovators, and to want to start businesses so that they become job creators rather than just job seekers. And this can be done very well in collaboration with industry.
Okay, in collaboration with industry, you say, and I think it goes back to what Kiko was saying about how, you know, these young people who are interested in STEM need to actually come up with prototypes, and the prototypes need to be developed into something that works, something that they can see works. Alex, now coming to you, you know, we also have school dropout rates at continuation level. You know, after primary school, there are those who will drop off. After secondary school, those will drop off. And this is said to also cut short the interest or uptake, in addition to poor numeracy skills in STEM. So looking at the work that you do at STEM Impact Center, is there a solution to managing this at all?
Yes, Doreen. I think to begin with, let me acknowledge that the STEM pipeline is a leaking one, and we are losing so many children from the education and the transition point. But for us as the STEM Impact Center, we believe in the abilities of each and every child. And what we do is that we're trying to harness their potential. And the activities and the programs we run, we are trying to complement what the government is doing, and which is a catalyst in this. So you'll find that our aim is to unlock the children's curiosity, their imagination, and their ability to create solutions. So we bring the aspect of lifelong learning, 21st century skills, to ensure that they are able to implement their knowledge, what they're learning in the class, they can also implement in their communities. So whether you've dropped out, or you're still in school, or you're still learning, or you still have aspirations, we want to work with you and ensure that you become a contributor to the solving of society's problems through entrepreneurship, skills, and maybe even job creation.
So how do you source for them? Because knowing that, you know, when people drop out of school, they kind of disconnect. How do you make the connection with those particular learners?
For us, it has been a matter of interest, and we are dealing with a very delicate and very informed generation, who are the young people. They are pretty much aware about technology and how much it can do for them. So for us, is what we are looking for is just the interest. Are you or willing to sit down on a project and come up with a solution for it? So it's not about the qualifications that you bring to the table, just about the interest to learn, interest to tinker with technology and come up with solutions. So we believe that can be done at any level, and you have students we are doing through our incubator programs, and some of them are graduates of the Kenya Science Engineering Fairs. They are brilliant young minds. Some of them didn't manage to go to campus, but they have amazing projects that they are doing in our center. I wish you could come and see the projects that they're doing for both children who have been to primary, some haven't, and those who are universities and still tinkering.
Right, I will certainly make time to come over and see what happens there, at the Impact Center. Kiko, how can education technology support the realization of STEM learners, tutors, and/or teachers?
Great question, Doreen. Education technology is a very powerful tool in terms of implementing innovative ways of teaching STEM, both for the teacher and the student. So what we're looking into terms of creating the access of the STEM courses. So with COVID, where we're not able to assemble the students together in physical classrooms, we could rely into technology to deliver virtual classrooms for the STEM training, which are instructor-led. And we've also seen the build-up of very great e-learning platforms that could deliver this content for the students to learn by themselves and to remain engaged for continuous development and progress. Similarly, also for the teachers on teacher capacity development, on how they can get very great pedagogical skills for implementing STEM classroom. But beyond access, and what we're looking at Angaza Elimu is typically whatever we're delivering, is it quality and relevant? And I think it's a high time that we need to move from the perception of one fits all, and where we can use technology. Like, for example, what we're doing, we have an AI model that looks into terms of understanding the students' abilities and personalities and what their interests are. So if we do observe that a student has a very great interest in coding, whereas another student has a very great interest in animations and games development. So how could we match them with that resources? We don't have to keep that student. Remember, STEM again is also where we look into terms of passion than rather trying to push them to continue learning what they will never want to practice. So if we're able to implement these technologies that, one, understand what the students' abilities and what they're able to perceive and learn the skills way much better in a most cost affordable solution would be the perfect thing to have for technology. And also beyond that, as I keep on mentioning, is how are we transitioning them into the workforce. So we need to look into what, for example, in the sub-Saharan African market, where the huge demand is, and could we put more resources into that so that we don't keep training students for jobs that are being eradicated or for jobs that are not going to be created or where the demand is not going to be high. So the perspective of both access and in terms of delivery of relevance and quality education is how we can rely on education technology to promote STEM education in our classrooms.
I like that. And in closing, as we are all STEM advocates, what will it take to make STEM learning more widely available in Kenya? And I want to start with Alex, because going by the STEM Impact Center and what exactly you do, what will it take to make STEM more widely available in the country today?
I think this needs to adopt a typical Helix model, whereby the government is the catalyst and you have the local ecosystem and also the teacher playing the part. So on the teacher level, this needs to do a lot of retooling and then stakeholder involvement. How can a high school or primary school work close in hand with the hospital nearby for learning purposes? Same thing with Kenya Power, KenGen, and all those industries that are around the communities and the schools. So that alone is not yet enough. In terms of infrastructure, there's need to look into the e-readiness, e-competencies, and the confidence of teachers through more capacity buildings, more opportunities to explore science, tech, and innovations on how to integrate in the classroom.
Great. Lois?
Right, thank you. So what needs to happen is that at the institutional level, we need to invest much more. So for our secondary schools, we need the government and the community to work together to invest more so that there are laboratories, so that there are computers for our students, because no point in asking our students to get interested and to learn STEM, but they don't have laboratories and they don't have computers to learn technology with. So there's quite a bit of investment that needs to happen. Broadly, thinking about this from a STEM ecosystem level, all players need to come together and deliberate and come up with the solutions that we need in order to make STEM learning effective. And by all players, I mean, starting with the Ministry of Education, but also bringing in the private sector, bringing in academia at university level and all other levels, the schools themselves, and of course, the communities, because educating a child is really a community activity. It takes a village. So everybody needs to come together and play their parts.
Right. Kiko, I want to hear from you in regard to how we can make STEM more widely available in the country.
Yeah, my fellow panelists have very great ideas on, and they've well pointed about the ecosystem that we have. And we have to admit, we have a very rich ecosystem, but there's a point that we are failing. We do have the resources, but I think it's for us to look back and get back to the drawing board and identify which gap and which role does every ecosystem player have to play. Because I think we all getting into advocating for STEM and doing a lot of double rolling and minimizing the quality of the STEM courses that we're delivering. So if each and every player can look at like where my full potential is and how can I keep on innovating and providing the right resources and opportunities. If it's the industry, if they're able to provide the technologies, the resources, the internship, enterprise opportunities for these students, then let them continue that. Let's look at innovators who are in the tech space to be able to build very great resources and also rely on other open resources that are being built. And at the end, it will look into terms of also what the policies are being made by those who have the authority in the education space. So for me, it's more of really everyone getting to the drawing board, looking at the gap, and for us to look forging a way forward that's quite innovative with an end goal. Because remember, we're not just training these students for the sake of training them, because we want to look at 10 years, we invested these resources. How did they help our economy? And if we're not going to work that math behind, then all that is being done, we're gonna keep doing the same thing and expecting different results, which is quite ridiculous. So it's everyone to get and keep innovating for the better of the students.
All right, I think that's a good way to end this conversation today. Lois Kinyanjui is the Executive Director, Young Scientists Kenya. Alex Magoo is the Executive Director and Founder at the STEM Impact Center Kenya. And Kiko Muo is the Chief Executive Officer at Angaza Elimu. Thank you so much for such great insights and also the much needed discussion around STEM and how it impacts the future of work. And you can find this and other EdTech Monday editions on the Mastercard Foundation YouTube channel. Also, follow the discussions on the Young Africa Works Facebook page, and you can share your feedback with us. My name is Joy Doreen Bira. It's always an honor being in the moderator seat. Happy holidays from us to you, and thank you all for watching. Thank you to the entire technical crew that has made all of this possible. Until next time, bye-bye for now.